Ooh, boy. That was fun. Happy Friday, everybody. And welcome to the Knicks Film School postgame show presented by our friends at BetUS. That felt good. That felt good. You know what that felt like? It felt appropriate. And we've been waiting for that a little bit. I know, the Knicks beat the crap out of the Pacers a week ago tonight, but it was very clear that the Pacers didn't really have it that night, and it's Halliburton didn't make a shot tonight. This was like, and I guess maybe the more important thing that night, it didn't even feel like the Knicks had their best. It felt like they did exercise a lot of the demons from opening night. And it was obviously a very strong performance. Didn't feel dominant. Tonight, by a final score of 128-98, against a Detroit Pistons team that we will talk about in a little bit, the Knicks did what we kind of expect this Knicks team to do a lot of this year. And I'm going to start the show with a quote from my good friend Jeremy Cohen, who I watched the game with tonight at T-Squared Social. Shout out to everybody who came out to T-Squared for our second Knicks watch party of the year. Again, we're going to keep doing these watch parties, so be on the lookout for more announcements about when they are going to be. Spoiler alert: we're going to have another one next Friday against the Bucks for the first in-season tournament game of the year. So we're watching this game, and the Knicks were up by some ungodly amount. And Jeremy goes to me. He says, good teams beat bad teams. Great teams destroy bad teams. And that is what the Knicks did tonight. The Knicks came into Detroit against a team that had played 5 games. And I know they were 1-4. But if you had watched any of them, and if you had listened to the very good pregame show with Andrew Claudio and Motor City Hoops, you would know that this was not a walkover Pistons team, at least based on what we saw through 5 games. They have been in every one of those games. They just came off beating the Philadelphia 76ers, albeit without Joel Embiid and Paul George. And they were competent. They were competitive. They, have made significant improvements on defense. So coming into this game, I know for myself, I was like, all right, got to take it seriously. Got to make sure, you cross your T's and dot your I's and all those sorts of things. Otherwise, this Pistons team is capable of coming up and surprising you and biting you in the behind. I didn't want to see the Knicks involved in a close game in the fourth quarter tonight. That was my worry. That was my mindset coming into the night. So then we see what we see, and the Knicks do what they do. And the question becomes, okay, how seriously should we take this? How much stock should we put into the Knicks' performance tonight? Because you look at the final numbers, 30-point win, 22 turnovers for the Pistons. That's one big number. Well, there's 3 big numbers for this game. 30, margin of victory, 22 Pistons turnovers, and then 47.4, which is the percentage that the Knicks shot from downtown. And it was much better than that for, I would say, probably the entire first half and even more of this game. So how seriously do we take this? How much stock can we put into a victory of this size against a team that is clearly like among the bottom third of the league? Whether are they the 21st best team in the league, or they're the 25th best team in the league, or they're the 27th best? I don't know. But they're somewhere in the bottom third. But it's early. It's early in the season. Again, they've been playing hard. They've been playing well. They were at home. I want to put some stock in this. I want to put some stock in this performance. I don't want to just write it off as like, it was the Pistons. Who cares? And I think we're allowed to put a little bit, right? Just a little bit, just a teeny bit. Look at our sponsor, Juan, please. Only 1 gram of sugar. I'm going to put 1 gram of credence into how the Knicks played tonight, because I think a couple of the things that we saw were pretty real. So, thing number 1, Jalen Brunson getting going from deep. The funniest thing about this game, for me at least, is that I was watching this game throughout the whole time. And I see Brunson's missing shots that he would normally make. Missed a couple at the rim he would normally make. Missed a couple mid-rangers that he would normally make. And I'm like, it was like late in the second quarter, and I think I turned to somebody. I was like, man, Brunson's off tonight. And then you look at the stat sheet. 36 points, 14 to 26 from the field, 6 of 8 from deep. 5 assists. Did he have a turnover? 2 turnovers. Okay. And it is the dichotomy of Brunson, where if he misses anything inside the arc, as a Knick fan who's now gotten to watch him up close and personal for over 2 years, you're like, something. What's wrong with Brunson? He would usually make that shot. What's going on with him? And yet you look up and he has the game he has, and it really just shows how high the standards are. Is there something still maybe a little bit off with him inside the arc? Maybe, but I think tonight was so significant to see him start off 5 for 5 from behind the 3-point line. I thought that was huge, because at the end of the day, with how limited teams are going to be in their options for guarding this team, the less, I phrased that incorrectly, the more fearful that opponents are of Jalen Brunson rising and firing from behind the arc, just the more unguardable the Knicks are going to become. And so to see him start off 5 for 5 from 3 was like, it was so important. And I think for as much as we are going to talk about the passing, and for as much as we were going to talk about the defense, I think for me, Brunson doing that, getting off to that start and finishing with this sort of game after he has kind of come out and struggled. And again, I'm acknowledging that there is still some struggles from inside the arc. But my Lord, once he gets that going, and he's going to get it going because he's Jalen Brunson. Woo, boy. I mean, that's going to be frightening. So the 3-point stuff tonight was welcome. So that's number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go. It's tough because on one hand, I want to go the defense. But then I look at Detroit and I look at the fact that for as spunky as they have been, and you heard it on the pregame pod, Cade Cunningham still has been struggling with turnovers in this game. He actually only had 1 turnover. Jaden Ivey 4, Jalen Duren 3, Tobias Harris 3, Ron Holland 3, Mikal Beasley 3. I mean, they finished with 22, so half their team had 3 or more turnovers. I still kind of want to go defense too. I know it was Detroit. I know they're prone. I know they didn't play their best game tonight. But boy, oh boy, were the Knicks everywhere. And in particular, OG Anunoby. I haven't thought about who I'm going to wind up making my 3-star player of the game. I mean, Brunson has 36 points on 22 shots, and it's like, how do you not make him the 3-star player of the game? I get it. I felt OG Anunoby tonight. Like, if the ball, forget if the ball was in the hands of the player he was guarding, it went beyond that. If the ball was on the side of the court that he was on, it was like, oh, like Pistons are in trouble. Pistons better watch out. Pistons got to be careful here. It was to that level of absurdity. And that's what OG could do for you. And I think that, that was the vision. And that is why they were comfortable ultimately pairing Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns at the 1 and the 5, where in a league you wouldn't think that would be tenable. Well, the reason I think it becomes tenable is because of OG Anunoby, in large part, and not only OG. And you look at the stat sheet, OG Anunoby, 2 steals, same as Towns, same as Brunson, same as Hart. Mikal Bridges had 3. And Bridges, I thought everybody was awesome defensively tonight. Bridges was great too. I don't mean to put him down, but there is something about what Anunoby is able to do and the pressure that he is able to exert on ball handlers. Or if you are a ball handler and you're looking to make an entry pass or even an outlet, like a pass behind the arc, and OG's the guy defending the man that you're looking to pass to, the level of discomfort that you have to feel when you're having that notion, like, oh, wait, he's over there. He's right there. Shit, maybe I shouldn't do that. I don't know that we could quantify that. And I think you saw that play out tonight. And not just tonight. You've seen that play out over the course of the season. So I'm going defense with a spotlight on OG. Number 2. And number 3, I will go the passing. And the passing was the most fun part of tonight. And for our autograph signature moment of the game, I am going to go probably maybe a little obscure, but there was a possession that came in the 3rd quarter. And shout out to Autograph for everything they're doing. If you want to get rewarded for your fandom, just go download the Autograph app. You could go do all the things you're already doing, read blogs, read my newsletter, listen to podcasts, listen to this podcast, see exclusive content from people like me and a bunch of other Knicks content creators. Go to the Autograph app, download it, use code KFS. You'll be very happy. So my signature moment of the game came in the 3rd quarter, and the Knicks were up by a bunch already. I think they were up by 23 at the time. And it was a play in which every single player on the court not only touched the ball, but exerted pressure on the defense without slowing down the offense and slowing down the ball movement. And it resulted in a Mikal Bridges 24-foot 3-pointer assisted by Karl-Anthony Towns. And I thought that was so poetic because we know from the Miami game now, or we knew already before the trade happened, but we were reminded in the Miami game of when Karl Towns has it going that, there's no one in the league that could stop him. And I feel very comfortable saying that because he was defended by Bam Adebayo and it didn't matter. Where this offense reaches another level is where, and it's not just Karl Towns, it's everybody, but where they are able to take the individual pressure that they are able to put on defenses and turn that into easy offense for somebody else. And that's what Karl Towns did on that play. And that's what the Knicks did really all night long. And they did it by just moving without the ball. That's all this was. And that's what you saw ad nauseum, time and time and time again. Guys cutting into space. And you could do that if you have 5 guys on the floor who could shoot. Because the defense feels the pressure, got a guard on the perimeter, can't drop back, can't fall off. I think the conundrum, and I talked about this a little bit on the post game after the Miami game, is that there are no elite passers on this team. None of these guys are elite passers, but can collectively the through the pressure that they're able to put on defenses, and if you keep the dominoes going down, no one needs to be an elite passer to open up those sorts of opportunities. As long as you are looking for the pass, and as long as you are making the obvious pass and the available pass, it's not like nobody needs to throw like Luka Doncic, behind the back and over his head and through his jersey and up his shorts and whatever. Like, you don't need to do that when you have all of these players on the floor who could do all these different things, and who are all unselfish, and who are all smart, and are all moving. You don't need to do all that. Just make the next pass. Make the simple pass. Now, I will say some of the passes that we saw tonight, I was damn impressed by, and particularly from Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns tonight, I think he finished with 7 assists. I know he had 7 assists when they took him out of the game towards the end of the third quarter. He finished with 7, but a team high 7. So again, symbolic, because as the most matchup proof guy on the team, and yes, I say that over and above Jalen Brunson. There's no one that could guard Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, there are players in the league that could guard Jalen Brunson because he's 6 foot, whatever he is, 6'1", 6'2". Towns, if Towns has it going, there's nobody that can guard him. So for him to be the one to lead the way in that particular stat category, it's pretty great. So shout out to Autograph again for our signature moment of the game. Again, go download the Autograph app and see all the great content that they have, and earn points for your fandom, and get your hands on all kinds of opportunities for rewards and lots of great stuff. And of course, check back with Autograph on Monday for my weekly 3x3. All right. Couple other things before we move on to the super chats. Mikal Bridges, nice to see another night, positive shooting night from him. So since he had a very rough first half in Miami, great second half shooting in Miami, and tonight 3 of 6 from behind the arc. Talked about OG Anunoby on the defensive end. Offensively, he was excellent tonight, 21 points, 8 of 15 overall. He was 3 of 5 from behind the arc. Talked about Towns, Brunson, Josh Hart. Josh Hart, man, what do you say about Josh Hart? Like, again, dude played 37 minutes tonight. It's like, no, there are no. It's like it's a Tiger Woods commercial. What do I do on a rainy day? I do this, I do that, I do this. There are no rainy days. No, there's no rainy days for Josh Hart. And then Deuce of Pride chipping in with 28 minutes. Didn't have a great shooting night from the field. One note, I do want to say campaign. I saw one of the beat writers tweeted that he had gone to the locker room tonight. So I don't see that anything was asked about it in the post game. Let's hope it's nothing. Regarding Precious Achua, by the way, this is per James Edwards III. Tibbs said he's making good, steady progress, and he's starting to do stuff off the court. So that is a good sign. And we got to see the rookies too tonight, which was even better. Tyler Kolek, a couple of nice baskets late. Look, did tonight what you're supposed to do tonight. Very good effort from the beginning. Took your opponent seriously, like you should take your opponent seriously. And you just rack up wins in a league where there is really, teams are going to have off nights like Detroit had tonight, but there's very few soft spots right now. So if you could go into a team's arena and you can take care of business and have it be a stress for your night, like, just do it, move on to the next one, and that's all she wrote. Okay. All right. So before we get on to the super chats, we will, of course, give a shout out to our friends at BetUS. No betting and sweating tonight, but we still do want to give our friends from BetUS a shout out. As always, we start off with that promo code YouTube150. You do that to receive 150% bonus on your first deposit, plus 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. And, because we talk about them all the time, fastest payouts in the industry. It is your answer if you're looking for a new book this basketball season. Fast and easy withdrawals and deposits, 24/7 personalized service every day of the calendar year, live wagering on all the big games, best betting variety, and 10% back on your net losses twice a year with your personal account manager if you want one. One more time, promo code YouTube150. 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125% on your next 2 up to $2,000. Disclaimer, gambling involves risks. Only gamble with funds you can afford to lose. All forms of betting carry financial risk, and it is down to the individual to make bets with or without the assistance of information provided. All I could say is I hope if you bet this game, you bet the over and you bet the Knicks. That's my retrospective advice. On that note, shall we? Here we go. I-95 Bully starts us off. What's going on, I-95 Bully? The JB Cat two-man game is coming together nice and slowly. Those guys are developing a little chemistry, it would seem. Yeah, I think so. It's nice to see it even against an opponent like this, because I think it's been a work in progress, and I want to give a big shout out, massive shout out, supersized shout out to Benji Ritholtz, because Benji today, or yesterday, put out a film session on the Knicks Film School YouTube channel. Everybody go watch it, because he showed you how against the Miami drop defense, JB and Cat were able to finally make magic together, and why through 3 games where it wasn't so great, they by far looked their best against that team. And I wonder if that didn't get them going. Again, Detroit defense not on par with your Clevelands and your Miamis and certainly your Bostons of the world. I honestly, not even your Indianas of the world. So take it with a grain of salt, but maybe we'll look back on that Miami game, which is again why I would encourage everybody to go watch that film session that Benji did. Maybe we'll look at that game as the game that started the snowball rolling down the hill. Because tonight, those guys were, simpatico. Thanks, 95 Bully. Busy. Hello, Busy. Good practice game. That's not nice. Are you wrong? No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But practice games could go wrong. Practice games could go awry. And the fact that this one didn't, I think I'll take it as an encouraging sign. Appreciate you, Busy. Jesse M. What's going on, Jesse? Safe to say McCall's shot is fine. 42% on 28 attempts. We're going to look back. I hope on opening night, or maybe it was even the last preseason game, one of those two. I vaguely recall saying something to the effect of man, we're all going to look back at this craziness. McCall forgot how to shoot. We're all going to look back at this and laugh and be like, what a ridiculous bunch of nincompoops we were. I hope I said that. If someone wants to go find when I said that, I would love you for just eternally. And if I didn't, you could use one of those AI tools to just put my face on someone that does say it, and I'll take credit for it. But yeah, man, he's Mikal Bridges. The guy's one of the most consistent players in the NBA. To think that he wasn't going to figure it out is, silly. Thanks, Jesse. Hush great offense, great defense, great game. Yeah, not much more to say. Even against Detroit. Take the victories when you can. Tibbs needs therapy. All right, come on. We're going to do it. Let's read off the final minute totals. I'm pulling it up right now. So we got Hart 37, Bridges 35, Anunoby 33, Brunson 31, McBride 28, Towns 27. So I'm going to give myself a little, not pat on the back, but I will give myself a little plug. In the Knicks Film School newsletter this morning, I wrote extensively about the rotation and about the minutes. And it really is, the eye of the beholder with this stuff, because on one hand, you could look at the Knicks minute averages and going into tonight, and these are all going to go down. You could say, well, the Knicks only had 3 players in the top 50, and nobody in the top 10. Bridges was 11, I think, I think Anunoby was in the 20s or something, and Hart was even lower than that. And then they only had 3 players actually move more in the top 50. They only had 3 players in the top 65. So, that's, with a team that is so dependent on its starting 5, 3 in the top 65 is not that much. But then you look at the number of players that they have had that have played 37 or more minutes in a game. And tonight, Josh Hart, 37 minutes, more than any team in the league. They had 9 players who had played 37 or more minutes in a game coming into tonight, and now Josh Hart makes it 10 through 5 games. Again, more than anyone. So how do you look at that? How do you judge that? You could judge it simply by looking at the fact that, what the fuck are you talking about, Macri? We had a coach that has all of these players playing with 7 minutes to go in a game when the Knicks are up by 30. Why you even... There's no context needed. That's objectively insane. Anyone who thinks that, I get it. I'm totally fine with it. And then if you are a Tibbs defender, sympathizer, madman, lunatic, what other words should we say? Nincompoop. I used the word a few minutes ago. I'll use it again to describe myself. Nincompoop. Like me, you say things like, hey, you don't get to pick and choose when you build good habits. You don't get to pick and choose when there is an opportunity to improve. Every moment, whether it's a game or a practice or anything, is an opportunity to get better. And for a team that is coming together and still learning each other and all of those sorts of things, and building those habits, building that mentality, that's an everyday. It doesn't matter how much you're up. Okay, we'll keep the pedal on the metal until there's 5 minutes left to go in the game, and then we take it off. And oh, by the way, the Knicks don't play for the next 2 days. So there are different ways to look at this stuff. Not going to begrudge anyone who looks tonight at the fact that he still had starters in the game with 6 minutes left and is like, come on, Tibbs, what are you doing? Will not begrudge anyone. So I get it. Thanks, Josh. Robert W. Cross. I saw I didn't see it at the time, but I saw after the fact he DM'd me before the game, said, big game tonight. Yes, Robert. It's a big game. It's your boy John. Cat trade was transformative for this basketball team. That is objectively true, just because they did transform as a basketball team. Whether it will be transformative for the positive or something else, we'll see. Obviously, I'm in the camp that it is transformative for the positive. And I think we are getting pretty close to, not pretty close. No, it is undeniable that it transformed this offense for the better. Unless you are someone out there who believes that, no, the Knicks should have continued going along as the, 17th most efficient shooting team in the league and just banking on, we're just going to continue to out offensive rebound everybody and get our points out. I loved that. It was so cool. It showed their grit. It showed their toughness. It showed all of that sort of physicality. I just never thought that was an offense that was capable of winning a championship. This offense is capable of winning a championship. We'll see if the defense can do their part. Thanks, Robert. Of course. Robert W. Cross, first time, long time, John. It's your boy, John. It wasn't necessary for Tibbs to put Cat back in the game up 30. Thanks. I'll hang up and listen. Define necessary. No, of course not. That's ridiculous. What a ridiculous question, Robert. Of course not. Of course not. It wasn't necessary. This is this head coach. And this is the mentality that he has. And I guess, like, I don't know. Are there benefits that come with a crazy man being in charge? That's really ultimately the question. Because the easy and obvious answer is no. The devil's advocate answer is, well, when you know the guy pushing the buttons is like so just like objectively insane when it comes to this stuff, when it comes to like, no, every minute is valuable. Does that imbue in your players, in your organization, a level of seriousness, a level of like, well, shit. I mean, this is just, if this is how he is, well, I guess that's just, this is how we got to be. Like, is there a value to that? Or is this all just, poppycock? And it's like, no, a player could get hurt unnecessarily, and that's all there is to it. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to give you an answer on that one. And reasonable minds may differ. Although I imagine most people, when they saw Cat come back in that game, were like, what are we doing? So yeah. True statement. I thought the Knicks played the Pistons at 7. Where's their opponent? Oh, man. Yeah. No, it was not Detroit's night. It was not, they were a little cold from deep. They were a little sloppy with the ball. I will say this. I don't know who Detroit plays next. I would not want to be that team because JB Bickerstaff does not get a lot of credit as an elite coach in this league. He imagine if Tibbs was coaching the team that did what Detroit did tonight. Like JB may not be Tibbs because there's nobody like Tibbs, but he's pretty close. So I wouldn't want to be the team that Detroit is playing next, and I certainly would not want to be the Detroit Pistons players tonight and tomorrow. I'll tell you that much. I'm drinking. I just realized I'm drinking. I forgot to do my glass of ice for my one, please, tonight. I just went straight to the can. Very irresponsible of me. It is better over ice, but still pretty good. Chewing on. I feel the Pistons' pain because we were them. It's like the curse of redacted left us and went back home to his franchise. All credit to the boys and Robert Randolph for the win. Hashtag fire tips. Hashtag Friday night. Were we ever this version of the Pistons? So let's I want to analyze that statement. So they just fired their coach, hired a new coach, who they're very high on. And they have a player in Cade Cunningham that you could at least talk yourself into being maybe not the best player on a title team, but like a guy. He's a real guy. And they have other young players who they are legitimately excited about. And they've played well this season. But they're 1-4. 1-5, excuse me. Have we been in that spot? I get maybe when we've been there. I mean, I feel like maybe just something during the KP era, but like Melo was still here. And then after Melo left, like that team actually was good when it started out. Like the first, the beginning of, what was it? The beginning of 17-18. Yeah, because he tore his ACL and then he was out for, yeah. So it was beginning of 17-18. But again, they started off kind of high. I don't know that we've ever been exactly where they are right now. I get what you're saying. I'm obviously I'm picking nits, but I'm, it's a slow night, so why not? I'd be excited if I was a Pistons fan. I think Pistons have some good stuff going on. They'll get another good pick this year in a good draft. They'll continue to, work out the kinks of like, who should we keep? Who should we trade? Yeah, I'd be excited if I was a Pistons fan. I think they're on the right track. I think it's ultimately, it does to some extent come down to like, what is Cade Cunningham? And I feel like I think the book is still out on him in terms of like how high, like how good does it get, But on the flip side, it's like he's a guy he needs the ball. So if the elevator doesn't go high enough, and he's a guy that clearly needs the ball to be effective, well, that there is a real downside risk there. So I think there's more variance on him than probably most people are saying right now. I know tonight wasn't a great game. I'd still feel pretty good about him. Yeah. Thanks, Juna. Kevin Niniszewski. Long time no see. How are you, my friend? Good seeing you again. It was good seeing you as well. It's always good seeing you. Not much to say except that OG Mikal's length is obscene. Mikal's broken jumper looks wet. Payne injured. Wally Pip. So again, I looked on the timeline. I did not see anything following up on that initial tweet about Payne going to the locker room. I am going to assume that he is fine. Kolek looked good. I got to be honest with you, Kev, and I'm not saying that you're obsessing over this because you're not. I know you're not. I know I talk with you enough to know that you are not. I do think that this is like the least important, ostensibly important storyline for this team. Like the Payne, Kolek, like backup point guard, whatever thing. It's not like whoever plays that position, like the ceiling of what they could do is only going to be so high. Now there may be some people who believe that Kolek could come in and light up opposing defenses because he's going to be, throwing lobs and dropping middies and the whole thing. I don't know. Again, I'm a Payne apologist because he's the sort of player that I typically like, gritty, and he's a gamer and could do some nice things on both ends. I loved his defense. I thought he played good tonight, I don't know. We'll see. What did Payne do tonight? 2 of 6 from the field, 12 minutes. Missed both his threes. Had 3 assists, 4 points. Yeah. Like the numbers aren't very good for him so far this season. So I don't know. It's a quote from JB Bickerstaff. Thank you, New York basketball, for this. Sometimes you have to get your ass kicked in order to learn the hard way. He's not wrong. Thanks, Kev. Armand Bernadjaj. That graphic on the last time we scored in double figures, 3 straight games, almost made me cry knowing how far we have come with this roster. So I'm assuming I didn't see the graphic you're talking about. I'm assuming you're talking about the fact that the starting 5 scored double figures, now for all 5 scored in double figures for the 4th straight game. Is that it? And it was the last time this happened was like sometime in the 90s or something. I think I heard it on the broadcast. Oh, no, sorry. Kevin is telling me it was more recent than that. It was Nate Robinson, Larry Hughes, etc. Well, that team wasn't very good. I remember because I watched them. Yeah, I mean, they're very good. I think I don't know that let me put it this way. I think you could read that a couple ways. I think there is a way if you are a negative is it a negative Nelly or a negative Nancy? I feel like it's a negative Nancy. Oh, both? Kevin is telling me it's both. Okay, let's go with negative Nancy. I don't know any Nancys, so I don't feel bad saying that. I don't know any Nellys either. If you're a negative Nancy, you would look at that and you say, well, the only reason the starting 5 is continues to score all these points is because they don't have any bench, and they need them to score that many points. And I think that's fair. I think it's a cool thing, and ultimately it shows that there is a skill level that all of these starters have that is here's a good question. Who's the least skilled? And let's even forget about defense. Who's the least offensively skilled Knicks starter? That's a fun question. Oh, look, the Knicks just tweeted this out. This is the first time since 1989 all 5 Knicks starters reached double figures in 4 straight games. There you go. Who is the least offensively skilled Knicks starter? I mean, it's not Towns, not Brunson, it's not Bridges. Is it OG? I don't know. Guy's been a 40+% corner 3-point shooter on decent volume for, I think, pretty much his whole career. Looks pretty good with the ball in the mid-range. That seems pretty nice. So is Josh Hart. Really? The guy who racked up triple doubles last year, 10 assists, like it was nobody's business. Makes a bunch of threes when it counts. Dives into open space, makes the right read in the short roll. Apt cutter. So I'm drawing this out to make the point, the skill level of this starting unit is second to Boston. It's probably it, right? It's probably just Boston, unless I'm missing someone. If I'm missing somebody feel free to chime in. Kevin is saying OKC maybe, and this is maybe my bias. I still kind of look at Lou Dort as there's a little bit maybe lacking there, but that's fair. OKC's I thought of OKC. OKC. But whatever the point, the Knicks are whatever. They're 2 or 3, in that conversation. So that is why that statistic and this achievement, first time in 35 years, it's cool. It's cool and it's meaningful. # meaningful. Robert W. Cross, don't underestimate the upside, the ceiling of the Robert's fucking with me. Kolek Mitch pick and roll game. It's your boy John. Yeah, I know. I got your DM earlier today, Robert. I hope we get to see Kolek and Mitch in the pick and roll. I think it could be a really nifty thing. It could be a fun thing. There is not a team in the NBA that would not switch that pick and roll every day of the week and twice on Sunday. For what it's worth. Thank you, Robert. Love you. Jack McMick. Offense looked very smooth tonight. Was really impressed with Cat's passing, as was I. Seems to be a much quicker decision maker than I gave him credit for. Let's go Knicks. Well, he hasn't. How much opportunities has he had to really flash that decision making over the last few years? I mean, I feel like it's been a little while since I quoted these statistics, but since you bring it up, Towns' assists the last 2 years were very low. 3 assists per game, or excuse me, last year, 3 assists per game. The year before that, 4.8 per game. So why that drop off? The drop off is because Anthony Edwards became Anthony Edwards. And when Edwards started to take over more of the offense, and also, correct me if I'm wrong, the Mike Conley trade was another thing that happened. But like, again, 2 years ago, 4.8 assists per game. 2 years before that, 4.5 assists per game, 4.4 assists per game. You can't get to that number, those numbers from the center position unless you have some modicum of skill. And he is a skilled passing big man. He's obviously not Jokic because no one is Jokic. But like after Jokic and Sabonis, does he have an argument for the third best passing? No, Senjun. He's top 5. I think Cat's a top 5 passing center in the league. I think that's fair. Yeah, it's not that hard to be a top 5 passing center in the league, I guess, but it's pretty good. And again, like the ranking part of it is silly. It doesn't matter because as long as you can make those reads and deliver those passes on guys who are cutting when you are out on the 3-point arc, that's all that matters. And that's what he's doing tonight again and again and again and again. That's all that matters. Just hit your cutters. If you can hit your cutters, you're fine. And he was hitting them. And he will, I think he will be able to hit them moving forward, even against good competition. Thanks, Jack McPack. Jose Von or Josevan? I don't know. Vallejo. First super chat of the season. OG plus McCall equals 0 fouls and great defense. Wow, they had 0 fouls? I did not realize that. That's pretty cool. It's a fun little nifty thing. Thanks, Jose Von. Kevin with another one. Great juxtaposition with the Toronto game on OG or RJ. Why, Kevin? Everyone's so happy here. Why you gotta come piss in everybody's happiness and rile up feelings? Nobody likes to feel feelings. RJ's doing great in Toronto. He's wonderful there. Very happy there. No Scotty Barnes, no Manu Quickly right now. I hope he scores 40 points a game, as he should. Let's leave that conversation over there. The Knicks got the guy that is right for their team. Thank you. Christopher, what's going on, Chris? Chris Alecki, my man. It's great to hear from you as always. Still getting used to this team. I think we all are. Honestly, I think we all are. I mean, tonight we were watching it at T Squared. So again, shout out to T Squared Social. Can we do it out of town scoreboard in a few minutes? Might as well. We were sitting there watching the game and like again, we know this team is good. We know they're capable of doing this, but to see it does take some getting used to. I could definitely see the vision. I cannot wait till these guys are firing on all cylinders, and I especially love that win over Miami. Yeah, I mean the Miami win was massive because of how they did it, who they did it against. I thought Miami played well. You know, all of that was important. If you're still skeptical about this team, again, just like don't, even after tonight, don't judge it yet. Judge it after, come talk to me after Christmas. Honestly, that's when I want to have this conversation. In the meantime, let's take all the good as it comes. That's all I'll say. Thank you, Chris. I hope everything's doing well on your end. Alfie Greco, what's going on, Alfie? How are you doing, John? When was the last time, if ever, a Knicks team looked so effortlessly good offensively? Exciting times. Are we doing hyperbole? Are we? Where is my hold on here. There, right there. Harvey Arrington. I don't know if you can see it's the innermost book on my bookshelf up here. Wrote When the Garden Was Eden. Great book. Anybody who hasn't read it, go out, order it today. It's fantastic. It's about the 70s Knicks. I obviously was not alive for the 70s Knicks. I was born 10 years after they won their second championship. I've never seen a Knicks team do on offense what this team is capable of doing. I think that team was capable of doing some special things on offense. And anybody who was around to witness it, I'm sure will chime in and say, yes, they were very special. The tip of the cap that I will give, and and Andrew always gets on me for putting this team down, or not putting them down, but not giving them enough credit. What the 2012-13 team did in the league at that time was very special. And yet I don't, you know what that was so much about their, like, the veteran savvy that they had with those guys, and like Kidd playing such a big role, and they outsmarted teams and they outshot teams. They out-schemed teams with Melo at the 4, where other teams are still playing like more traditional 4s. But in terms of just like the effortlessness that you're talking about as a byproduct of skill first and shooting and intelligence and unselfishness, and like I want to see it against some better competition, obviously, because tonight was a not, it was what it was. I think this team certainly has a chance to go ahead of that 12-13 team for me. But that's the only one that's like in the conversation for me. So that's pretty good company. Will Oliver. My soul needed a laugher after the Yankees. I'm sorry, Will. I know it was a tough one for all the Yankee fans out there. I feel you. I, haven't had the fortune of misfortune, I guess, of having a whole lot of teams that I've rooted for over the course of my life make it to the championship round and then lose. I do think that there was nothing tougher than that. So, yeah, my condolences. Thanks, Will. Richard Robinson. Tibbs has a history of bringing out the best from his centers. Yeah. Joakim Noah, Pau Gasol, Mitch, Nerlens. You want to go back? I mean, shit. Go back to the Houston teams. Go to Kendrick Perkins on Boston. The interesting one is Cat, and there is, I don't know, is there an argument that Cat's best season came under Tibbs before this year? I'm talking about. I don't know. That was where Tibbs, the personnel guy with the whole Butler thing, probably got in the way. But I mean, that's water under the bridge. I just, I think Tibbs is the nice thing is he knows exactly what he's working with here. There's no guesswork. So whatever he's thinking, he has to know what Towns at this point is capable of and what he's not capable of. And Tibbs is many things. He's not stupid. And he's not someone who's going to put his head in the sand. I know he has a reputation for putting his head in the sand. I don't think he's going to. So, yeah. I think things are looking up. Ja, what's going on, Ja? So focused? Just hopping in to see how we fared against that feisty Pistons team John was worried about. Was it a close one? I earned that. Totally fine. No hate. No hate. That's totally okay. Man, you had to do that to me. We have a quote here from Josh Hart on the goal of playing a 48-minute game. I mean, this is per Steve Popper, by the way. We're striving for an unattainable goal. I don't think anybody or any team in the history of the NBA has played a full 48 minutes. Boston on ring night is close. That's pretty cool. He's a funny bird. Thanks, Ja. I have no comment. Appreciate you. Hope you're well. Oh, we have another comment from Ja. I should probably read the comment. One solid Knicks second half from winning the week, John. Yeah. Well, I'm happy I don't have to live with the regret of not picking 1 and 2. That's the only thing. I thought I'll say this when we were down by 13 to Miami, I was like, "Oh my god, you idiot! You could have had the week. Just pick 1 and 2. Why didn't you pick 1 and 2?" But yeah, no, they and look, Cleveland. Give Cleveland credit. They were very good. But yeah, thanks, Joe. Parrish Duggar. No, don't want Tibbs fired. Just deserves a wedgie for putting Cat back in, up 3,200 points with 3 minutes left. Come on, man. Otherwise, great job, Tibbs. Sincerely. No, I know. I'm not begrudging anybody. The man has his ways, and they can be maddening to some. To others, they are endearing. And when I say others, I mean me. Thanks, Parrish. Scott Phillips, thanks for the contribution. Oh, here we go. Negative Nelly in Australia. Loving the growing confidence of Bridges. Hard playing 37 minutes with injuries. Can't wait for him to be healthy. Yeah, no, that's great. Shout out to Australia. Yeah, I mean, it's I wonder, you know what I wonder? I wonder, was Bridges ever worried himself? I genuinely wonder that because that was the thing after the Washington game, we heard the soundbite where he said about the tinkering and like he's been trying to get back to the form since college and this and that, and he sounded nervous. And I wonder if we all collectively made too much out of that, or if we should have just been like, if like we weren't there, we don't see the video. McCall's a soft-spoken guy. I don't think he was probably never nervous. So like you know, again, we're gonna look back on all this and be like, are you kidding me? This is what we were talking about. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for chiming in from down under. Kevin Nanashevsky, let's get spicy. Favorite post game ever? Least favorite. It's really what you're asking right now? Um, My favorite post game ever. Jesus Christ. My favorite post game ever, the one that comes to, there are a few candidates, including when the Knicks beat Cleveland. That would be number 2, probably, when the game 5 against Cleveland. But number 1 has to be the Diaper Fund post game from the We Here season, where people were just, it became a thing where people were just like, just being very, very silly with their generosity, and it just became a thing. And I was kind of overwhelmed that night. So that was a good one. That'd probably be my number 1. My least favorite post game ever. Some during the 21-22 season, for sure. One doesn't stand out, but it had to be one of the ones where, like, Tibbs was just getting just murdered. And I was like, I felt so, that season was like, I have to stand on principle, like, it would be so easy for me to just give into this, but I didn't believe it. I didn't believe, I just didn't believe it, that he was the reason that, like, I tried to see where he was coming from, and that was just so hard. It was just so stressful, like, every night. I mean, they lost, what did they lose, 17 out of 20 games? That was just brutal. That was so brutal, because it was not fun doing this during that time, because I felt like I was alone on an island, and then I would do this, and afterwards I would be like, shit, man, am I just, like, completely, am I insane? And looking back now, like, I can't be like, oh, I was in the right because Tibbs is still here and he's coaching well. No, that doesn't mean anything. That means nothing. Like, he could have absolutely been responsible for a lot of the ills of that season. So, yeah, but that was really tough. That was really hard. But there's not one that stands out. If that, to answer your question, I wish I had one. There's one that what the post game is that from that season that stands out for whatever odd reason. The game early in the year where it was Randall against the Bulls, and he had a good game and a bad end of the game, and people were killing him afterwards. And that was when I was still, like, on board, but it was pre paper plate, and I was like, really, like, people were coming at him. Like, what is this? People are insane. People are being so hard on him. He had a great game. He just had a rough end. That was very, like, one of those moments where I was like, man, what are we doing here? What am I doing here? Yeah, that's probably the best answer I got for you, Kev. Thank you for that. Joe Dugan underestimated Cat's basketball IQ because of his reputation with the fouls, faces, etc. Never considered or factored in that he could take a big leap with our spacing. The faces are like, that's just, he's a silly guy, he's like, not silly like Mitch is silly, but like his reactions and like some of the shit that he says. The fouls are just, I don't know that that's a basketball IQ thing. And I would love for someone who's a lot smarter than me and who has been more intimately involved in the sport than me to have a real conversation about the Venn diagram of, like, silly fouls versus basketball IQ, because I don't have a great opinion on that. But I love that you raised that was like, that's why you had that opinion. Because on one hand, I'm like, that's very valid. On the other hand, I'm like, was that unfair? I don't know. Is he taking a leap because of our spacing? I've talked about this a few times. I feel bad repeating myself, but he was on a lot of bad teams. The one good team he was on before the last 2 years was a team where the other star on the team, Jimmy Butler, and him actively hated each other. And then you go to the last 2 years where he was playing out of position, willingly, by the way. So I think it's maybe less about the spacing and more about like, this is like, I mean, it is about the spacing, to be clear, but it's more than that. It's more than just the spacing. That's the phrasing. It's more than just the spacing. It's about just like, all right, this is what it's supposed. This is how it was always supposed to be for him, you know. And on both ends of the court, by the way. So yeah, thanks, Joe. Hush Zoo, do you think Tibbs and the staff can fix Duren? Well, they're not going to get Duren, so I don't think that's a concern. No, I don't know. Would they be able to? Probably. Does he need to be fixed, or is he just young? Third-year player. Yeah. Thanks, Hush. Parrish, let's just hope Tibbs doesn't cause a catastrophe. That's a good way to end it. That's a good way to end it, Parrish. Okay. I think that's our last one. This was great. Thank you for tuning in to the Knicks Film School postgame show. Oh, wait, hold on, Kevin. Wait, Kevin, come up here. Where are you? What's up?
What up, Matt? What up? Hold on, say that again.
Down scoreboard.
Out of town scoreboard.
What? There was a lot of games tonight. Let's just go through some of the games.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, come on. We got to give a shout out to our friends at T-Squared Social because they threw another watch party for us tonight. We are doing another watch party on Friday, first in-season tournament game against the Milwaukee Bucks. We're very excited about that. So I'm going to run through them real quick. Or after I run through each one, I'm going to ask you one question and you give me one answer. Okay, you ready? Celtics beat the Hornets 124-109. Kevin, are the Hornets mediocre or bad? Those are the only two choices you have. One word.
They're going to be bad, but they should be mediocre with the talent they have on the team.
You know what? That was more than one word, but it's okay.
Yeah,
Cavs 120, the Magic 109. Will the Magic go over 500 without Paolo Banchero? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Whoa. Yeah.
If he's out for the whole year?
No. Just for the time he's out. For the time he's out, will they be over 500?
No.
You have a little faith. Okay.
Bad offense. They got to generate more.
I mean, I don't disagree. I am curious what Franz will do in Paolo's absence. I'm looking tonight. He 17 points, 8 of 19 from the field. That's not great. Suggs had a great game though. 28 points on 20 shots. Okay. Next up, Kings over the Hawks. Are the Hawks interesting? Yes or no?
Yes.
2-4.
They're interesting though.
Okay, that's fine. I
don't know if they're going to be good, but I think they're interesting.
I said interesting. I didn't say good. The New Jersey. Oh no, sorry. The Brooklyn Nets, 3-3, have won not one, not two. Count them 3 games in a row. Are the Brooklyn Nets? They beat Chicago 120-112. Are the Brooklyn Nets frisky? Yes or no? Cam Thomas, 32 points tonight. Is he leading the league in scoring? Hold on. I got to look at this. He might be leading the league in scoring. Are they frisky? Yes or no?
Nah. Cam Thomas could hoop, though.
I did not believe that.
Cam Thomas could hoop. I don't think they're frisky. I don't think so. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I feel like when I did the standings and all of that over under stuff, I had never actually done that for like officially in my life. So, and I kind of like had to rush through it. So I'm just trying to like cop please for when my scores is low. But I don't think Brooklyn's much like, look, at the end of the day, most of these teams are going to try to like tank for Cooper Flag, to tell
All
you
right.
the truth.
Well, this is just me reading numbers. Cam Thomas 20 before tonight. And this is going to go up. So before tonight, coming into tonight, 27 point. What was it?
Yep.
27.4 points per game.
Yep.
Luka Doncic, 27.2 points a game. Who's better? Who might?
It's close. It's close.
It's extremely close.
I'm on forums. Yeah. I'm on forums out there during Cam Thomas's draft, pleading for the Knicks to draft Cam Thomas.
Oh, did you want him?
Yeah.
I didn't want any part of it, but good for you.
We were still in the space of like, I was still in the space of like, we need a hooper. So at that point, I was like, Cam Thomas he's going to be a bucket.
Lakers 131, Raptors 125. Lakers threat to come out of the West, yes or no?
I can't stand them.
That was not the question.
Yes.
Okay.
They are a threat, even though I picked them to be a play-in team. And honestly, I think as a play-in team, they're still a threat to come out of the West.
I think at this point, if I could do one amendment to my preseason predictions, I would have the Lakers as a top 4 seed. And
minus Phoenix. Minus Phoenix. I had them a little too low.
Oh, I had Phoenix in the top 4. So I'm starting my victory lap on that one. I will add but you know what I'm worried about there? Because Golden State has looked awesome also, and I'm no lower on OKC or Minnesota than I was before the season. You know what? I had Denver in the top. I had in the top 4. That's the one maybe that we take away. Okay, last one. Right. Pelicans with a really, like, with the news that came down today with Herb Jones and CJ McCollum out, big win over the Indiana Pacers at home, 125-118. Tyrese Halliburton, 2 of 8 from the field overall, 1 of 6 from 3. Was Tyrese Halliburton's last season's first half or first like 2/5? Was it? I'm not gonna say fraudulent, but was it the best extended stretch of basketball that he will ever play in his career?
I don't want to say ever. Look,
was it in the top? Was the first 30 or so games of last season? Like, will we look back on that as among like the best? Like, if we're grading his whole career in stretches, will that be somewhere in like the top 10% of his career?
Yeah, because that's like almost statistically hard to beat. But you know, when it comes to Hallie, like, does he play?
Not
like
if you're. Well, hold on. Wait. It's not statistically hard to beat if you're a perennial first or second team All NBA player.
And that's hard to beat.
You do not think that he is.
No, I don't. I think it's hard to be that consistently. So
okay,
he was great. He was
awesome.
He's not a Luka level player. He's not a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander player. He's not a Jalen Brunson level player. I think he's in like a tier under that. Who's going to be? Yeah, I'm gonna get some second teams in my like really, really best years. I'll get a third team maybe, but he's like an all-star, but like not a superstar.
All right.
But I want to laugh at him.
I
want to laugh at him.
No,
wait. I have a question for you. Did Tyrese Halliburton, does he play like, does he look like a baby giraffe when he plays? Yes or no? I have another question. Was he wearing the Reggie Miller choke shirt after the game we played them?
Probably not. Does he look like a baby giraffe when he plays?
He does. Like
he looks like a very punchable
Bambi.
face.
Oh my God.
That's what he has.
Oh
okay.
My God.
That was your out of town scoreboard presented by our friends at T Squared Social. Again, make your plans now. Get your babysitters. Do whatever you got to do. The in-season tournament starts on Friday. We will be back at T Squared for another watch party. Join us there. It's going to be a good one. The Bucks are struggling. All the more reason to come out and watch the Knicks. Hopefully, beat them. Maybe we'll be on an extended winning streak by then. Who knows? And of course, thank everybody for coming to watch this post-game show. If you are so generous as to give it a 5-star rating or a nice review or subscribe to the channel, any other things that you can do to support Knicks Film School, we appreciate those things. And we will be back with more fun and games with a post-game for me, yours truly, on Monday. And before that, you're going to get a regular episode. Me and Benji are going to be talking about all the X's and O's of the first 5 games of the season. Lots to look forward to. We'll be back with more before you know it. Peace out.